Hey juniors, so didn't expect to be creating another virtual lesson today. I stayed up pretty late doing lessons for today, trying to get us caught up from last week's virtual lessons. So what I'm essentially doing is I'm just kind of jumping all over the place. I'm really sorry. I'm hoping that tomorrow and Wednesday we will be in school. I will get us all caught up with everything. I had hoped to teach the Civil War chronologically, but I'm getting, this is getting tough. So I'm going to real quickly kind of walk you through my thoughts for today. This will be a very short video, and then give you kind of some instructions for what I want you to do for the rest of the lesson. So in summary, we are halfway through the Civil War. We've talked about the First Battle of Bull Run. We've talked about the death of Stonewall Jackson at Chancellorsville. We've talked about the fact that the Union Army, the Union generally had much more working in their favor than the South did, with the exception that the Confederates or the Southerners were defending their own territory, and so that they're more motivated, I guess you could say. Abraham Lincoln's primary purpose was to preserve the Union. He did not recognize the Confederacy, and so his task becomes essentially whipping them into shape, getting them back in line. So, however, because Abraham Lincoln is functioning within a republic or a democracy, he's up for re-election in a couple of years. And so if he is not reelected, everything that he's doing during the course of this 4-year period of time might come to nothing. I think it was one of the World War II generals famously said that in a democracy, wars have to be won in a 4-year period of time because of the nature of elections. And so anyway, so we went through Chancellorsville. We talked about Antietam, the Battle of Antietam, where Robert E. Lee invaded the North, thinking take the fight to them. With not much success, he ends up coming back. McClellan does not chase him, and so George McClellan, Union commander, gets fired. He's replaced with Joseph Hooker. And we talked about the namesake, his namesake, or that word, what his last name comes to mean. Joseph Hooker was kind of arrogant, wasn't prepared for Stonewall Jackson at Chancellorsville, and is defeated. Robert E. Lee takes another stab at the Union territory after Chancellorsville, and invades Pennsylvania. And when I'm in class, we're going to talk about the Battle of Gettysburg. The Battle of Gettysburg takes place in July of 1863, so we're more than halfway through the war. Robert E. Lee is going to be defeated at the Battle of Gettysburg. His second attempt to invade the Union with some victory, and he does not have victory. And then he spends the last 18 months of the war trying to avoid being captured back in Virginia. So Gettysburg's, they call it the high tide of the Confederacy because it was the farthest north that the Confederate Army ever got. But I want to talk about Gettysburg when we're in person. So, so today I'm going to have you read 4 pages from chapter 11, section 4. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I'm skipping over Gettysburg because I want you guys to read about Sherman's march. So Ulysses S. Grant is going to be appointed commander of the Union Army after Joseph Hooker's failure. And he is going to fight a war of attrition. He is going to take it to the Southerners. He's going to do everything he has to defeat them, to crush them. Remember, his initials US come to mean unconditional surrender. He's going to hire a good friend named William Sherman and instruct him to pulverize, essentially, Georgia and South Carolina, do whatever he has to do to crush the Confederate armies there. And so William Sherman is going to cut all communication ties, and he's going to march his army, I think 30 miles wide across from Atlanta to the coast and burn everything in his pathway. It's called Sherman's March to the Sea. To this day, Southerners are still fairly bitter about Sherman's March to the Sea. This again is called a war of attrition. The Union Army under William Sherman and Ulysses S. Grant, they're not raping and pillaging and destroying human property just for the sake of destroying human property. They are destroying any means by which the Confederacy can continue to fight the war, which means they're going to burn schools and churches and factories and railroad lines, and they're going to kill all of the livestock or eat it because they have no supply lines. They're going to eat off of the land as they go through Georgia and then through South Carolina. As they're marching and burning and destroying all of this stuff, freed blacks are going to start following behind him. And there were thousands of them following his army, eating off the land as they moved north towards Robert E. Lee in Virginia to meet up with Ulysses S. Grant. It was pretty devastating. And once Sherman's army got to North Carolina, they decided to shift gears. And by that point, North Carolina was trying to leave the Confederacy and rejoin the Union. So anyway, what you're going to be reading about is essentially Ulysses S. Grant's War of Attrition, William Sherman's march to the sea, and then ultimately William Sherman and Ulysses S. Grant are going to meet up in Virginia, and they're going to run circles around Robert E. Lee until he can do nothing but surrender. And so essentially that's kind of the last part of the Civil War. And you're only going to be reading part of chapter 11, section 4. The first half is about Gettysburg, and I want to share that in person with you. And then lastly, there are some questions associated with your reading assignment. So I want you to read it. I want you to answer the questions. This will all be on Google Classroom. And then there is I have to look at the time, maybe a 12 or 15 minute video from the history guy. One of my classes, I think it might have been my AP kids. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen this one. Anyway, he's another video guy, kind of like a John Green. He's a nerdy old guy, but he's really fascinating. He has a special episode on the Civil War battle at Prairie Grove, which is just right up the street from us. And so it's not a battle that's mentioned in our history books because it was in an obscure area, but the territory between Missouri and Arkansas was very volatile because so many people from Missouri came down and fought for the Confederacy. And so I want you to watch that video as well. So watch my short video, read the 3 or 4 pages out of your book that I'm going to send. I'll send you the pictures to. Answer the questions on the Google form and watch the history guy video. So it might be more than an hour's worth of work, so we're going to call whatever you do beyond that homework. Okay, so I'm going to send this to my honors class and my regular class because it's the same content. So you'll both be getting the same lesson. Please do your own work. Don't ask a friend what they got for this or that. All of the answers are in the book. You don't need to make sure that you also do them in your own words. Several of you just copied and pasted from the textbook last time. That does not suffice. Even if you put quotes around it, I want you to read it, understand it, put it in your own words. So, all right, if you have any questions, I'll be around today. I've been up since about 4 in the morning because that's what time I usually get up, and I was almost ready for the day when I got the message that we weren't having school today. So I will be around. I might take a quick nap just to take the edge off, but looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Bye.